Support for studio sessions on KNKX comes from OB Credit Union, the original credit union of the Olympia Brewery, bringing pub-style banking to South Sound neighborhoods. OB Credit Union, offering Rainier, Pabst, Lone Star, and Olympia beer credit cards. More at obee.com/cards. I'm Abe Beeson, coming to you from the Moore Theater for a special holiday studio session performance from our friend Jake Shimabukuro. Known around these parts as the Jimi Hendrix of the ukulele, Jake has taken the traditional instrument into the worlds of jazz, blues, rock, folk, classical music, and far beyond. His latest album of collaborations is called Jake and Friends, and Jake's genuine love for people, the vibrant culture of his Hawaiian home, and the spirit of the holidays come together in his new show Christmas in Hawaii. He was joined by bassist Jackson Waldhoff and also his friend Justin Kavika Young for shows in Olympia, Seattle, and Mount Vernon, and Jake was good enough to record an exclusive performance from the Moore Theater in Seattle just for the listeners of KNKX. And I'm going to speak with Jake in a few minutes, but first let's get into the music. Jake Shimabukuro with Jackson Waldhoff on the bass at the Moore Theater on 88.5 KNKX.
right, so that was our take on We Three Kings. We're gonna kind of move into one of my favorite classic rock tunes. I was born and raised in Hawaii, and a lot of different influences. You know, of course, starting out playing a lot of traditional Hawaiian music, but then later on, I got really into rock and roll and guitar players that really inspired me. So I hope you enjoy this. Here is our interpretation of Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody. this is a song that was inspired by one of my heroes, the great Bruce Lee. And I thought this would be nice to do since we're in Seattle. But this is, I remember one day kind of just joking around, well, joking, thinking to myself that what would happen if Bruce Lee and Eddie Van Halen got together to compose a song for the ukulele? And in my mind, I think it would sound maybe something like this. It's a song entitled Dragon because it was inspired by the movie Enter the Dragon. Here we go. All right, song entitled Dragon. We're gonna do one more song here, and this is a very special song for me because I was always a huge fan of George Harrison, and this is one of my favorites. And back in 2005, there was a YouTube video of me performing this piece that went viral, and that's really what started my touring career, outside of Hawaii and Japan. So this is a song entitled While My Guitar Gently Weeps, and I think most of you know that George Harrison was a huge fan of the ukulele. He loved this instrument, and I don't know, so I've always felt like a connection, to him through the ukulele, but since it's it's kind of the While My Guitar Gently Weeps, the guitar tribute song, we thought we'd throw in a couple more guitar riffs that hopefully you'll recognize. Here we go. Thank you so much. Happy holidays and mele kaliki maka. Woo! Okay.
Jake Shimabukuro, it's so great to have you back in Seattle. I hope you're staying warm this winter.
Yeah, aloha, Abe. Thanks for having me. Great to see you again, and thank you for just supporting music and the arts, man. Really appreciate it.
So this is your Christmas in Hawaii show that you're running through the Northwest. You were in Olympia, Seattle tonight, Mount Vernon on Monday night. Tell me a little bit about how you remember Christmas growing up in Hawaii. There's a lot more than just mele kaliki maka.
Yeah, well, it's a lot warmer than where we are now. When we talk about a white Christmas, you know, it's usually we're referring to the white sandy beaches or something. No snow. But growing up, you know, for me, it was always just such a special time of year where, you know, you just spend that time with your family. And now being older and having kids of my own and a family of my own, you know, it's so special, you know, to have that. And I'm looking forward to it. I look forward to it every year. Yeah.
How about Christmas music? I've always been a big fan, but I know there's some people that just can't stand it. But it seems like it's really familiar melodies that are kind of perfect for improvisation, right?
Yeah. Oh, I love Christmas music, you know, holiday songs, all the songs that you hear, like when you go shopping. It just, I don't know, it just kind of gets me in that spirit. But I've always loved, I make a joke, you know, at every show because a lot of times whenever I think of Christmas songs or holiday songs, all the songs that initially come to my head are all in minor keys, and they're all very dark and sad. You know, I was like, oh, this won't make for a good Christmas in Hawaii, you know, a concert. So, but I love the music. You know, it's always very memorable melodies, and it's just a wonderful time of year.
Any particular gifts during Christmas that you remember back on fondly musically, like a great record you got for Christmas or a prized ukulele that you unwrapped?
Well, I remember when I got my first bicycle. Oh, that was
nice.
that was a big deal for me. Yeah.
And tell me a little bit more about your show, the Christmas in Hawaii show. It's certainly not all Christmas music. What kind of performances are involved?
Yeah, I have some friends of mine from Hawaii, Jackson Waldhoff, who's on electric bass. We went to the same high school together, Kaimuki High School. And then Justin Kavika Young, who we both started out in Hawaii. You know, we started our touring careers, our music careers around the same time. And I've always just been a huge fan of his voice, his songwriting. So I'm just so thrilled to have him out with us. And, you know, after a very successful year a very successful career in Hawaii, he left for the mainland, and then he teamed up with a wonderful artist named Colby Calais, and he was Colby's writing partner. They toured and recorded together for about 15 years, and then started up another band called Gone West, which was amazing. They just had one of their songs just went gold. Wow. I mean, they're incredible. So to have him on the road with us is just such an honor.
Now, he's a guitar player. You're a ukulele player, and you don't play much guitar. Does he play ukulele?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we all grew up playing ukulele in Hawaii, you know. So even Jackson, I mean, if anything, if you know, if for some reason I couldn't play, you know, any one of those guys could jump on the ukulele and carry the rest of the show for me.
Now, it's wonderful that you're sharing music on stage. Your latest record, Jake and Friends, you're sharing music on the album. It's been out a year ago, but it took a while to make. Of course, during the pandemic could make things more difficult. difficult.
Yeah, well, ironically, it was actually finished prior to the pandemic.
was.
There was a couple tracks that we did during the pandemic, so we had to do those remotely.
I gotcha.
One of them was Jimmy Buffett, which is funny because Jimmy and I tour together and play together all the time, but we had to do ours remotely because of the pandemic. But a lot of the other ones were all not just done together in the studio, but live. They're actually live
wow.
takes. So with Willie Nelson, I mean, I was standing like 3 feet from him, and we were like playing Stardust, and same thing with Michael McDonald. Michael McDonald, we were just sitting right across from each other, and he played the baritone uke on it, and just hearing them sing like that was incredible. Kenny Loggins is on there, Warren Haynes, Sonny Landreth, and Billy Strings, Bette Midler,
Yeah,
Ziggy Marley,
Vince
Jack
Gill's on there,
Johnson,
Jack Johnson.
yeah, Vince Gill, yeah. So it was just such a fun record. I was so excited. John Anderson, the lead singer from Yes, is also on this record, and I've always just been such a huge fan of his voice. So hearing him, his voice on the, with the ukulele is just amazing.
I imagine there were some of those musicians that were unfamiliar with playing with an ukulele player. Bette Midler, I guess, was a natural for that. But were there any surprises working with these superstars?
Yeah, well, it's funny because even like John Anderson, right? I mean, he plays the ukulele. He's, which surprised me. Vince Gill, he has an ukulele. I helped pick out a Kamaka ukulele for him
awesome.
years ago, and he loves it. Of course, Jimmy plays, Jack Johnson. So a lot of the Bette Midler, she's great on the ukulele. But a lot of the musicians that are on this record, with the exception of Willie Nelson and who else, Lucas Nelson. And Billy Strings. I haven't, all the other artists on this record, we've actually collaborated before and worked together before, so it wasn't too much of a stretch. But working with Billy Strings was so cool, because we had never worked with each other before. And the coolest thing about that track is, we met over in the studio, and it was the first time we were meeting, and we kind of had some ideas for a song because we were trying to write something together. So we thought, they were setting up the video cameras and things like that. We were like, well, let's just try jam through it. So we, the mics were kind of partially set up, so we just started playing and jamming. And after that, we were like, oh man, that was great. Let's record something like that. Luckily, they were recording, so they captured. So what's on the record is a song called "Smoking Strings," and that song is actually not only the first take, but it's the first time we ever played together. So that just kind of, it's such a special track because normally when you're in the studio, as soon as you know you're being recorded, you play in a different way. But it's rare that you get to play and not know that you're being recorded. So you really capture something that is just very spontaneous and natural, right?
Yeah, right. That's
and
very
honest,
special.
right? Yeah. So
now, one of your longest relationships with this crew of musicians is Jimmy Buffett, and there's a great story about a tour through Seattle where Jimmy was actually selling your merchandise out front. Tell us a little bit about your relationship with Jimmy Buffett.
Oh man, I was so fortunate because early on in my touring career, he was one of the artists who really took me under his wing and brought me out on the road with them and took me all over the world. I mean, literally all over the world. But it was so amazing, because that night he was in Seattle. He came to our show, and then during the intermission, he's just like, yeah, after the show, man, I'm gonna go out there and sell some merch for you. And I thought he was joking, right? But after the show, he was behind the table selling merch, and I could tell people were just like, wow, that guy really looks like Jimmy Buffett, but there's no way that can be Jimmy, right? but that's the kind of person he is, man. He's just he's so spontaneous, and he's the same person on stage as he is off stage. He just loves life, and he's so generous, with in everything that he does, and he truly loves everything that he that he does. Like when I was touring with him, I remember seeing him on stage. He's having so much fun. I mean, he gets off stage and he's still jumping around. He's like, "Oh man, that was a great show." I mean, he's so pumped, and it's just so inspiring. And to have someone like that, just kind of guide you and support you. I mean, it's such a blessing.
Beyond your friends, beyond your collaborations, tell me a little bit about your own musical progression. Do you feel like you're evolving or perfecting, dialing things in, growing, doing different things?
Yeah, I'm still, for me, it's all about experimenting and just kind of you know, you're always searching for that next sound or or refining your tone, right? Like this that never-ending quest, right? For tone, you know, where's the tone? You know, you're always looking for that. But I love that. You know, it's one of those things where at some point you realize you're never gonna get to that point, but just enjoying the journey and the process and just you know, and just being thankful that you have something that drives you every day, you know, something that motivates you to pick up your instrument and you're always searching, you know, it's like it's such a gift and I love it. I mean, every time I pick up my ukulele, it brings me so much joy and the best part about it is, you know, because it's one thing when you're sitting in your room and playing by yourself, but when you're actually playing in a nice hall or theater where there's a vibe and a sound, you know, that theater and that environment becomes part of your instrument, becomes part of your, you know, the delivery of your expression. But then also when you're in front of an audience, that energy and when everyone kind of comes together and just kind of feels and experiences the same thing, you know, that experience like elevates the music and it allows you to achieve, you know, a kind of emotion or a bliss or a joy that you can't get by yourself, right? So for me, I mean, that's why I love performing on stage, performing and touring because I get to experience that, you know, from night to night, and that's something that I'm so grateful for, and you know, and I'll never take that for granted, you know, ever again. So.
You've got about 10 more days left on this tour through the frosty Northwest before you head back home to the sunshine. Tell me a little bit more about the music scene in Honolulu. And I know there's some great record stores. The Blue Note is there. There's some great jam sessions. Is there support for the local musician scene there?
Oh, definitely. I mean, you know, one of the things that I love about being in Hawaii is the traditional music. You know, I mean, that's kind of what I grew up playing and listening to. It's still my favorite. It's my all-time favorite. Every time I you know, hear that music, it just takes me back, you know, and I love it. And that's why having Justin out with us, you know, every night he'll sing like one traditional, kind of in a traditional style with the falsetto and all of that. And it's just absolutely beautiful. I mean, it gives me chills every night and makes me a little homesick, but, you know, but I love it. But the music scene in Hawaii is so diverse, you know, it's incredible. So, and now that we have the Blue Note there, you know, they're so supportive of local musicians, local artists, but we also get a lot of musicians who normally wouldn't come to Hawaii before, right? But they'll stop over in Hawaii, like when they're coming back from their Asia tour or on their way to their Asia tour, you know. So I know we were talking a little bit earlier, and like I recently saw Pat Metheny there. Which was an amazing concert, and you know, so you see the names of people that come through now is just incredible. I could go there every night, and not even I could just randomly buy tickets, and I know when I show up, it's going to be an awesome show.
Thank you, Jake, so much for spending some time with us. I know there's a long and storied connection between Hawaii and all of us here in the Pacific Northwest, and a lot of back and forth. And so we both all look forward to getting back there and having you back here for your next trip. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Take care and happy holidays. Mele kalikimaka, and you have a great time in Hawaii while you're there.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Aloha.
And mahalo.
Mahalo. Thank you.